Let me find it. Okay, so I found the quote here. A man who works with his hands is a laborer. A man who works with his hands and his brain is a craftsman. But a man who works with his hands and his brain and his heart is an artist. Last Friday, my friend Ron and I drove down to Fullerton, California to West Coast Classics to pick up his car.
MP bumper bars and MP optional rubber. Time period correct. Additional accessory.
When I was in college, I got really into car restoration. So I started taking classes at the college for auto mechanics, auto body. And then a good friend of mine introduced me to his brother-in-law, Ron. He used to work at a restoration shop that restored Volkswagens. And he was like their #1 guy for steering wheels. He could restore anything. He was really precise about everything he did. So this is my buddy Ron right here showing how to restore steering wheels. He basically took me under his wing. Ron and I restored this car together way back when. He had a friend named John Heffler, and he had this old 63 in his backyard, and it had just been sitting there. It was a nest for possums or whatever was in his backyard. I rolled this car home. That's the interior. Here are the beautiful seats right there. For 4 years, I put every single cent of my money into that car. Blood, sweat, and tears. This was my art form. Bringing a car back to life was for me, it was knowing the car, knowing the ins and outs, learning about it, and making it look as good as it did when it rolled off the showroom floor. That was the goal. When the whole artist power thing, when I got bit by that bug, no pun intended, I realized I had to make a sacrifice. So this is when I sold everything that I could make money from, and the Volkswagen was one of those things, which was the most difficult sale I ever had to make. I bought this car, and Ron was the one who taught me how to restore. And then in order to do artist power, I sold this car to Ron in order to fund the first 2 tours of my trip. And now it's full circle. When you're driving down the street in a little Volkswagen restored, it's beautiful. Old people wave and little kids wave at you, and people honk and they want to stop and look at their car and take pictures. It's one of these cars that I don't know what the draw is of this car, but there's something to it. And I fell in love with it, and it became my art form. When you take something and you make it beautiful, when it translates outside of yourself to other people, then you've created a sense of communication without even meeting the people necessarily. Like I've said with many things as I've traveled around, from country to country, examining different art forms. When you're 100% in it, when you're living it, and you're using it as a way to express yourself as if it's a language, that's an art form.